My name's Caroline Poynton and I'm recording this today because I'm not copyrighting YouTube. I'm actually just paying attention. And this is about fucking King Charles, and I've been right all along. Do you know, I'm right when I said he's changed his religion to Islam.
King Charles has done it again. Somehow he's managed to upset the British public. And he's also, at the same time, embarrassed Keir Starmer.
Yeah.
I'm Craig, a former British soldier, and welcome to Combat Ready HQ, where you get real news, the truth, and real reactions. And we're going to be breaking down how King Charles is letting the British citizens and its community down, and how Keir Starmer has once again been embarrassed on the world stage. Big shout out to all of you who could like, share and subscribe. It would be hugely appreciated. But you may have heard the message. King Charles will not give an Easter speech this year. We're going to have a look at this. So every year they release a Christmas speech. And then every now and then they release an Easter message. But with the division that's being created in Britain right now, the uncertainty, the lack of unity, and the confrontation, I would say, between Christianity and Islam and the Muslims, I think people are seeing this extremely unfairly, considering he just gave a Ramadan message for the Islamic community, but has decided not to for the Christian community. You can look at this in a way of sense, is his health?
Yeah, but he's not
is there a health issue?
But it's not just for the Christianity community.
Is he just made a seriously bad decision?
It's for the Christian
The Bishop, though, shared he's bitterly
everyone.
disappointed with King Charles' decision not to issue an Easter message, warning the monarch of missing the public mood. Buckingham Palace confirmed yesterday the King will not release an Easter message this year, with GB News understanding it is not something the Palace release every year. It may not be something they release every year, but I would say it's more important to release one this year than any other
but it's
year.
important every year.
Bishop Ciron Diwar, who recently sent a letter to the palace outlining concerns with the suppression of Christianity, shared the People channel's fears that Christians have been let down. I'm bitterly disappointed there isn't a royal president for releasing a message, but since coming to the throne, Charles has chosen to do so every year. Having just issued a Ramadan and Eid Mubarak message for the Islamic community, choosing not to give an Easter message is bitterly disappointing. Does not meet the expectations you'd expect from the monarch. The bishop feels that either the king or his advisors have missed the move the public by neglecting an Easter message. He said Christians will be heartbroken, having learned a defender of the faith has ignored them. Whoever has made the decision has got it wrong. Christians will feel let down by the king, and that is evident by the public mood. I've had messages from across the Commonwealth concerned that the king won't release an Easter message, even if he wants to be the defender of faiths, like his position was when he was Prince of Wales. You are not equally defending each faith by missing out Christianity. I think this is an extremely bad decision. He's been releasing one pretty much every year. They don't have to release one. It's not like they do. But I think it's more important now that if you want unity and you're saying you want to bring everyone together and communities together, then you're going to release a message for the Ramadan and release one for Easter for Christians, and then release one on a Jewish holiday and a Sikh holiday, and make it look like that you are trying to unite everyone and prevent any division. And obviously, just being a Christian country, the amount of people that we have in the UK that are Christian or may not actually go to church but follow Christian values and like to watch the monarch's Easter speech and Christmas speech, because there are people who don't go to church but they love to watch that every year and listen to what he has to say. I think it's more important to do it right now. I think it's extremely stupid for him not to do it. And then we've got King Charles has actually raised concerns over Keir Starmer appointing Peter Mandelson, so it's actually been released. But before we cover that, make sure you head over to Private Internet Access VPN, secure yourself online, protect your data, protect your passwords, and if you want to get a few extra little Netflix series or films, change your geolocation to United States, and you can access a little bit more, and you can save 86% and get 4 months free on PIA VPN, Private Internet Access, through the link in the description. Continuing now. King Charles raised concerns to Keir Starmer over appointing Peter Mandelson as US ambassador. King Charles wrote 2 separate notes expressing reservations about Peter Mandelson's selection as Britain's ambassador to the United States. When asked to formally approve the appointment as constitutionally required, the monarch reportedly attached a note posing a question along the lines of, "Do you really think that's wise?" Pretty big. Small amount of words, it's a big message to write from the King to the Prime Minister and his advisors. A second communication from Buckingham Palace similarly conveys His Majesty's misgivings about granting the controversial peer such a prominent diplomatic posting. The King and Sir Keir Starmer also discussed the matter during their regular weekly audience, according to Private Eye. Reports indicate King Charles was taken back that the Foreign Office's formal approval letter contained a complimentary CV that failed to mention Lord Mandelson's previous government resignations of his Epstein's connections. It comes as scrutiny on the Prime Minister over the decision to appoint Lord Mandelson to the Washington role continues. Questions are now being raised about whether correspondence between the King and ministers regarding the appointment will feature in forthcoming document releases. Sir Keir Starmer has pledged to publish an extensive range of materials connected to peer selection, with an initial batch of files made public last month. We know they're just trying to cover their asses. They made a massive mistake and it's all now coming to light. They didn't think all this would come to light. I don't know why, when they knew Epstein was obviously being investigated anyway. They made a stupid mistake, a stupid move, still went ahead with it, and now they can't admit their own mistake. And even King Charles tried to pull him up on it. I don't know why. It was approved though. If you do not think this is a wise decision and you make that overall approval, then why are you not saying this is a bad decision? Let's not go ahead with this. Instead of just leaving a note. You are the king, you are the monarch. Okay, you are the head of state. So you make that decision. No, you're not doing this appointment. You've come to me for the approval. I am not giving you the approval. The values that we should live by, especially from the military, being a military man, sea drills, courage, discipline, respect for others, integrity, loyalty and selfless commitment. Why is he not living by them and saying, no, you are not appointed Peter Mandelson?
Exactly, like my granddad would say.
Material may be withheld either due to evidence to the ongoing police inquiry into Lord Mandelson or because disclosure could compromise national security of diplomatic relations. Obviously, they're going to try and hide paperwork and documents. Lord Mandelson received the ambassadorship in December 2024. The Prime Minister dismissed him from the position in September of last year after fresh details emerged concerning his association with convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. The removal represented the third occasion on which the new Labour architect had departed a government post under difficult circumstances. He previously resigned twice from Tony Blair's cabinet amid separate scandals. Lord Mandelson has stated he will cooperate fully with investigators and intends to clear his name. Going to be struggle to clear that, isn't it, when you've close links to Jeffrey Epstein, and it looks like you were possibly, allegedly sharing secret and classified information, and you were just had a relationship with a known, paedophile. We won't say the full word, but yeah, not looking good. King Charles needs to release an Easter message. It's about unity, bringing the British people together. What he's doing here is creating more division. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this. Please do comment below. Big shout out to all of our channel members. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.
I do, because he's a fucking pedo. That's why I hate the cunt. I can see a pedo a mile away. And I see King Charles is the biggest one ever. He's changed his religion, and that's all I need to know. Yeah, and we're fighting back me against King Charles, the woke old twat.
Calvin Robinson.
Can get fucked for changing his religion.
No spin, no bias, no censorship. I'm Dan Wootton. This is a special Easter edition of Outspoken, episode number 462. Of course, we reflect on the great sacrifice of Christ this Good Friday, and may you find strength in the promise of the cross. But breaking this Easter, a growing backlash against King Charles, and even calls for him to abdicate after Buckingham Palace confirmed the monarch has refused to issue an Easter message this year, despite multiple such outreaches for major moments on the Islam calendar, like Ramadan.
the passage of the Holy Quran. Salamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak. In Nigeria and across the world, I can only wish you and the millions of Muslims in our countries Eid Mubarak.
Muslims? No, what about the Nigerians that be slaughtered?
And our present. In
The Christian Nigerians that be slaughtered, the black Nigerians that are being slaughtered in Nigeria.
It is part of our own inheritance.
The people that are being slaughtered
The
over there, what
unfortunately
about them?
timed Christian snub
What
from the
about
head of the
them-
Church of
the
England
children
has
are being
renewed
slaughtered
concerns
over there,
that Charles is
bullied
more
over there,
sympathetic
making
to
Nigeria,
Islamism
and the black
than
children,
Christianity.
what
With
about the
Tommy
people?
Robinson lashing out and Rudy Giuliani going viral with his
And what about the
Muslim
white
monarch
people?
slur.
What about the English white people?
Charles III might be the Muslim monarch of England. I mean, they're taking
The
over.
Muslim monarch
And they
of
want to
England
take
taking
over.
They believe King Charles is a Muslim.
Yeah, he is a Muslim. He's converted to
Wow,
Islam.
who told you that?
I won't say.
Me.
It was someone very, very high up.
How high up it with me, and I'm
And look,
lower.
there is a real cause for concern about the
Say for
Islamist
fucking
takeover of the
years.
UK, with another call today for Christians to be humiliated. Watch.
And who told me?
The guy that when he walks
Yeah,
inside the street, he has to wear a red belt around his neck, and he has to have his forehead shaved, and he has to wear two shoes.
And I
Two
was-
shoes which are different from one
My
another.
dog told me
He's not
that
allowed to.
these
And he's not allowed to walk on the pavement. He has to walk on. He has to walk in the middle of the road, and he has to ride on a
myself
view.
at first, and
So this
A
Good
bit
Friday, I am
a bit-
delighted
and
that
now
we
it's
have
a bit.
reunited our Christian
I'll put the
heroes
people
for a
together.
very special superstar panel.
I
Joining me
I've
for the
got AI
entire
telling
show,
me there's no
Father
evidence.
Calvin Robinson,
That's
Minister
perfect.
Ricky Doolan, Bishop Karen H.
changed his
Diwa,
religion,
and
he's
Reverend
converted to
Canon
Islam.
Father
Yeah, and
Bill
he's converted
Harris.
to terrorism.
Also, coming up on the show today, Rupert Low fights the GB
Rupert
News ban
Low,
against Restore Britain
thank
after
you.
Tom Harwood unwittingly reveals the anti-democratic truth. New questions over Jill Dando's murder as she prepared to expose the BBC before her shocking death. And there is a new campaign to ban the construction of mosques up and down the country.
Good.
It is gathering pace. We will speak to the man behind it this Good Friday.
Good.
Then, in the Royal Uncancelled
Charles.
After Show over on Substack
Speaking
after the
of
main
that,
show, Anna Wintour
I'll have
bans
them in
Meghan
the
Markle
Church
from the
of
Met
England.
Gala
Why
as
would
the
you do
fake
that to the
Duchess
churches?
attempts to change the storyline by revealing new holiday videos of Prince Harry and Archie on her
Well,
Instagram
it
page.
could be Queen
All the
Elizabeth
royal
as well,
latest
but-
with According to Taz.
Yeah.
That is after the main show at
I think it's been King Charles after Queen
www.outspoken.live.
Elizabeth for a
At
long
the end of
time
the show
ago.
today, we will also be revealing the worst Britain in
About
the
20
world
years
this
ago.
week. This is where we put your Uni and Jackass winners from Monday to Thursday head to head. You can vote right now in the
Behind the
posts
scenes which we
tab
don't know
on
about.
YouTube. Your options: from Monday, Zara Sultana; from Tuesday, Ed Balls;
That was
from
about 20
Wednesday,
years ago.
Emily Thornbury; and from Thursday, the tit whisperer himself, Zach
That'd be
Polanski.
about 20
Get
years,
voting,
20
keep your
years,
feedback
20
coming
years.
in. I will share the best at the end of today's episode.
I'm 43 now.
But now,
20 years ago, but
let's go.
That's a bit earlier than
So
that,
what
though.
should have been a
Remember
celebratory
25
and
years
important
ago,
day for the
don't
British
you?
royal family has
I
been
think you forgot
shockingly
about 20 years ago.
overshadowed by the growing King Charles religious scandal.
Yeah.
Yesterday,
Religious
after the monarch
scandal.
stepped out for the Maundy Thursday
changed his
service,
religion.
continuing a tradition his mother
Converted to
adored
Islam.
as the head of the
Changed his
Church of
religion to Islam.
England,
Converted.
Buckingham Palace foolishly
converted
briefed
jihad.
GB News that the defender of the faith would not be issuing any message for Easter this year. Now that
Christmas.
stung, okay? That stung.
There'll be Christmas as well.
While the propagandist defenders of the
There'll
king
be Christmas next.
in the
Not
Royal
release
Rota and the
Christmas,
mainstream
Christmas
media immediately
Eve.
pointed out that the late
They're not going to
Queen
release one for
didn't
Christmas.
issue an Easter message either.
Oh,
That is not the point here.
I thought she
Charles's own long-held sympathies for Islam and his regular celebrations of events like Ramadan have changed the game. An Easter message is the least this struggling Christian nation expects and needs. So the condemnation was universal and immediate, with royal commentator Lauren the Insider declaring it is no conspiracy, King Charles is not a Christian, King Charles must abdicate, he is a traitor.
Yeah, treason.
Watch.
Not just a traitor, it's treason.
Has received huge backlash. He is not releasing an Easter message.
Went to the Maundy Thursday service. That's done. It's done. It's all he's doing. And this is why I say he can't do anything more. Because he's compromised, but he'll also come out in hives if he says the word Christians. He just cannot do it.
Because he's changed.
No, look, I understand what Lauren is saying, but I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not there yet in terms of abdication because I am a believer in hereditary monarchy. However, what I have done now over many years is call out King Charles's links to Islam, and I believe they must be further examined.
Good, thank you.
I mean, as the Prince of Wales, he would regularly quote the Quran.
The a passage from the Holy Quran, which seems particularly appropriate to Islamic beliefs work, and which says in verse 32 of Al-Ma'idah Surah,
1990.
whoever saved a life,
And then that's why
it would be as if he saved the life of all mankind. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for saving and transforming so many lives over the past 25 years. And may there be many blessings, inshallah, on your work during the next quarter of a century.
Tommy Robinson is happy to call this out. He has posted overnight, Buckingham Palace announced that Charles won't be issuing an Easter message this year. Meanwhile, for Ramadan, this.
Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak. Ladies and gentlemen, as Muslims across the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth begin preparations to celebrate Eid after fasting for the holy month of Ramadan, I just wanted to convey my heartfelt best wishes to all who celebrate this festival, and to tell you just how much my wife and I are thinking of you at this special time of year.
And before 9/11, Charles was even suggesting the West should change our values to adopt anti-capitalist tenets of Islam.
Islam is part of our past and our present in all fields of human endeavour. It has helped to create modern Europe. It is part of our own inheritance, not a thing apart. Islam can teach us today a way of understanding and living in a world which Christianity itself is the poorer for having lost. Our judgment of Islam has been grossly distorted by taking the extremes to be the word.
When was that? Sorry.
Not a
Our values to adopt anti-capitalist tenets of Islam.
Islam is part of our past and our present in all fields of human endeavour. It has helped to create modern Europe. It is part of our own inheritance, not a thing apart. Islam can teach us today a way of understanding and living in a world which Christianity itself is the poorer for having lost. Our judgment of Islam has been grossly distorted by taking the extremes to be the word. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a serious mistake. It's like judging the quality of life in people by the existence of murder and rape, child abuse, drug addiction. The extremes do exist and they must be dealt with. But when used as a basis to judge a society, they lead to distortion and unfairness. We in the West need also, I think, to understand the Islamic world's view of us. There is nothing to be gained and much harm to be done, it seems to me, by refusing to comprehend the extent to which many people in the Islamic world genuinely fear our own Western materialism and mass culture as a deadly challenge to their Islamic culture and way of life. The fact is that our form of materialism can be offensive to devout Muslims. And I do not just mean the extremists among them.
Now, one of the religious figures joining us on our special Easter Superstar panel today, Minister Ricky Doolan, has been very critical of Charles's decision to take Islam inside our palaces.
Beside the
Do you
church.
think King Charles is defending the faith?
I think he's abandoned that position of defending the faith,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to Islam, where Islam is like the best friend. You know, like he allowed the iftar, the breaking of the Ramadan fast, inside of the palace.
And Bishop Karen Diwa issued another of his viral open letters overnight, writing, "At such a pivotal moment in our nation where many across this United Kingdom feel that our Christian identity is being rapidly stripped away, this silence from the crown is not neutrality, it is absence. Let us not forget that Easter is not merely a footnote in our national story, it is its very foundation. A nation that is untethered from the resurrection of Christ risks forgetting not only who it is, but why it stands at all." Yet, in regards to what Ricky was saying, let me just show you King Charles at the recent Nigerian state dinner.
In Nigeria and across the world, I can only wish you and the millions of Muslims in our countries Eid Mubarak. And in doing so, let me propose a toast to the President and people of Nigeria. Niger no de carry last.
Not why killing all the
Then there's
Nigerians.
Jada Franson, who posted Buckingham Palace say King Charles will not issue an Easter message this year. He is the Supreme Governor of the Church of England. Here he is packing dates for Muslims to eat at sunset during Ramadan. Shameful. And that did happen. Watch.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't realize the king would be so fast.
So fast then, didn't it?
Faster than I can see this.
He hadn't even got cancer, nothing wrong with it.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Not one that fast.
I've never realized this was a really couple. Sorry.
Now, after I revealed the news about King Charles's Easter message snub last night, Patriots United, with Alison Pearson posting my digest and adding, "It is very concerning if the king isn't issuing an Easter message. There is unhappiness he is neglecting the faith of which he is defender."
Yeah.
Kate Hoey
meant to be off.
on the left added, "It is true. Is it true that the king is not delivering a message for Easter? If this is true, why is he not? We need to have a reason. If he can give messages to Muslims on their special religious day, surely he must send a message to Christians." Mike Graham raged, "What's wrong with this idiot? King of absolute bollocks." And Henry Bolton of the SDP posted, "I don't know the reason for this decision, but I very much hope it's not what I can't help suspecting and many people think." Then there was senior London Tory Susan Hall, who demanded King Charles as the head of the Church of England. An Easter message when us Christians are feeling very sidelined would have been welcome, and I would have thought for the sake of the monarchy, essential. Even Reform UK supporter Isabel Oakshott, fiancée of Richard Tice, joined the chorus, writing, "The king is head of the Church of England. He issued Ramadan and Eid messages, but apparently isn't bothering with Easter this year. Why the holy F? Not okay."
When they got targeted.
Then across the Atlantic, Milo Yiannopoulos opined, "I think Charles III is Muslim."
Yeah.
Now that is a growing feeling in the US. This is what Rudy Giuliani claimed to Piers Morgan earlier in the week.
I have people from England telling me you're going to be a Muslim country in 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, the Anglican Church, the Roman Catholic Church is bigger in England now than the Anglican Church, and Charles III might be the Muslim monarch of England.
Yeah.
I mean, they've taken over.
Yeah.
And they want to take over.
The pushback has been strong, however, and you know I will always cover both sides here on Outspoken. So the British Royalist Society has stated the late Queen issued a single Easter message in the 70 years of her reign, a one-off during the pandemic. There is no break with tradition, and this is the purest example of clickbait. So they went for GB News there. But as Jonathan Wong countered, Her late Majesty has never issued a dedicated Ramadan or Eid message from Buckingham Palace across her 70-year reign. And for me, that's the point. Because, by the way, this is not one of those so-called conspiracy theories. Even the late Queen's longtime chaplain, Gavin Ashenden, has spoken out in regards to this.
All we can tell is he appears to prefer Islam. So He promotes Islam, he talks about Islam, he appears to be happy in his Islamic company, and there's nothing wrong with being nice to Muslims. Muslims are human beings before they're anything else. We should love our fellow human beings, but it's about proportion. And so if he's king of the whole country, you would expect his behavior, his language, his preferences to be proportionate. But they're not. They favor one community above all others, and it's Islamic. So we don't know why, we just know that that's how it is.
And this moment comes as an unquestionably perilous time for the British royal family, with King Charles uninviting Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, Fergie, Beatrice and Eugenie from Sunday's Easter service after demands from Prince William, who will attend with Catherine and his 3 children. But the Republican movement is using the moment of weakness, even disrupting the Maundy Thursday service yesterday. Now, I say all of this as a monarchist and a royalist, and I know there will be some of you watching today asking, why is the king's connection to Islam an issue at all? Well, I would argue it's because of the very obvious Muslim takeover happening here in the UK, a Christian country, as Liz Rosen has uncovered just today. A Muslim preacher in Britain explains how all British non-Muslims will be punished under Sharia laws in the near future. John Cleese, who has woken up on this issue, added they are living in their own world, aren't they? I think it's very important to remind them of the reality of living in Britain. Unfortunately, Starmer isn't going to do this, and I want you to watch what they are referring to and be horrified.
The Kafir, when he walks inside the street, he has to wear a red belt around his neck, and he has to have his forehead shaved, and he has to wear 2 shoes which are different from one another. He's not allowed to walk on the pavement. He has to walk in the middle of the road, and he has to ride on a mule. And that's only for the adults, not for the children. And you can see how Islam would make the child become a Muslim. The Kafir, or the child growing up in a state of kufr, he will turn to Islam. Why? Because the child will be walking along with his dad. He said, Dad, yeah? Why you got your forehead shaved? I don't know whether these Muslims they make me do it. Why you gotta walk? Why can't you ride the animal like the Muslims? They ride the animal like this. Why are you walking with both legs dangling on the side of the donkey? Why is it every time the Muslim comes to you, he asks you for your clothes, you give it? Why is it every time he tells you to get down from the horse, you have to take it? And not only that, he said the kuffar, they can have their churches. They can have their churches, but they're not allowed to ring the bell.
That is what they talk about privately. That is how they see the Islamist takeover going. We can't allow it. No. As Islam critic Gad Saad argued to the apologist Rory Stewart. Dear Rory Stewart, the most charitable non-partisan database that tracks Islamic terrorism has generated the following estimate. 49,000 plus terror attacks by Muslims since 9/11 alone, in nearly 70 countries. Does this cause you concern? Or is 49,000 a very small number compared to 2 billion, so nothing to worry about? What's interesting is that in this climate, religion, once again a major political issue in the UK. This is the new cover of The Spectator magazine this week, with Madeline Grant arguing Tony Blair's victory in 1997 was infamous as the start of not doing God. Yet as the political world, Blair shaped, is swept into the dustbin of history, 2 things are increasingly clear. Our next national poll will be an existential election, and religion will play a bigger role than it has for years. Britain's politics is back, doing God again. Talking of fringes, the Green Party has made religious policy a key part of its electoral offering, with a rather retro vow to disestablish the Church of England. The last National Party leader to talk seriously about church-state affairs in this vein was David Lloyd George. Unofficially, the mobilisation of a religious vote played a major role in the Greens' totemic by-election victory in Gorton and Denton, with canvassing and adverts tailored towards the very specific concerns of Islamic voters. More worryingly, the old canards of anti-Semitic blood libel first emerging in English religion just after the Norman Conquest have cropped up in Green activist WhatsApp groups. Despite their policy platforms, in fact, the Greens probably prove more than any other party that completely secularised politics isn't really possible at all. As a capital E type, the next election might feature at its centre issues such as the role of public prayer, assisted suicide, blasphemy legislation, and the constitutional role of church and state. Indeed, in existential terms, it may be closer to the election of 1710 than that of 2010. UK politics is finally, for better and worse, realising that religion is here to stay. The Crown has noticed this too. Despite conspiracist slander from the online right, the King's faith, though higher and more eccentric than his mother's low and dry religion, is slow and unfeigned, and his prayers with Pope Leo last year were quietly monumental. More tellingly, the Prince of Wales has made public that he has no plans to rock the boat of church-state relations. Of course he believes in God, came a statement from Kensington Palace. 10 years ago, that, of course, would not have been so obvious. Like so many institutions, the Church of England has prioritised all forms of diversity, except diversity of thought, leading to a convergence of opinion that is not only alienating, but leads to myopic decision-making. We do not need a militaristic or persecuting church, but our new political world could benefit from one that at least seems to like itself and believe in what it can do, namely underpinning the macro and micro aspects of British life and seeking to live out the teachings of Christ, on which, after all, almost everything that anybody values about life in Britain is based. Now, also in this same Easter edition of The Spectator, Marcus Walker has noticed that Gen Z, the sort of Restore Britain voters of the right, are turning to the Book of Common Prayer. He wrote, until now, there is much evidence that young adults and young men in particular have been returning to church. Most interesting of all is that these young people seem to be craving authenticity and tradition, or full fat faith, as many are calling it. I can only speak for my own congregation, but since 2018, we have restored the authorised version of the Bible, introduced new prayer book, even songs, and even seen numbers skyrocket, especially among those aged between 20 and 35. We've had almost 150 confirmations since COVID, and now a heartening number are considering ordination. And yet, according to the sages of the 1960s, this shouldn't be happening. These young men and women should never have come near a church using these and thous, talking about sin or praying in a register more Shakespeare than Love Island. But by the way, speaking of ITV, and the latest cultural outrage from the elite woke class, that commercial broadcaster, which should fall, by the way, is making a new drama about Queen Elizabeth I, and they're going to make her trans. Julie Birchall, furious about this, writing, Elizabeth I to be portrayed as a transgender man in an imminent TV show? I remember people sneering that Mrs. Thatcher was a man in drag. Let's just make every tough woman in history a man and be done with it, because women aren't ambitious ever. Talk about erasure. And Sharon Davies fumed, that's right, people. Strong women can't possibly just be women. They have to be men pretending to be women. Who writes this shit? So that is the climate this Easter in the United Kingdom. And I think King Charles, unfortunately, today has let us down. But now, let me bring in our special Good Friday Superstar panel. Minister Ricky Doonan, Bishop Karen H. Dewa, Reverend Canon Father Phil Harris, and Father Calvin Robinson, all with us. Father Calvin, I want to start with King Charles and this decision not to release an Easter message, despite having done so for Ramadan and Eid. Surely at the very least a PR misstep, or do you see something more sinister like Lauren the Insider does?
At the very least, it's weird, isn't it? To promote one religion over another when we have a state religion. We have an established church in Great Britain, and the king is the supreme governor of that church. So when he takes that oath to defend the faith, he should stand by it. I've seen critics saying, well, the monarch doesn't usually make an Easter message, so it's no faux pas, which is technically true, but also untrue in Charles's case. Since 2018, Charles, then Prince of Wales, was releasing Easter statements. He's released one for every year for 8 years. So he has set a tradition, whether it's the tradition of the monarchy or his personal tradition. So to break it this year, when he made such a big fuss over Ramadan and Eid and Iftar and all the dates and all that stuff, just shows the wrong message. I get it. I get that he wants to be supportive of people of other faiths than none, but that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to promote the biggest truth that we have in this country, in that at Easter time we celebrate the passion, death and resurrection of our Lord and Saviour Jesus Christ, and he died for all of us, Muslims, Jews, Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, because he wants everyone to have eternal salvation in him. Therefore, everyone needs to come to Christ. If you are the supreme governor of a church, your one role in life is to bring people into that church. And he's letting down the church, he's letting down Christ, he's letting down the country, unfortunately.
Minister Doolan, we saw in the digest you speaking about your concerns about Charles seemingly bringing Islam into the palaces.
Yep. We should not be allowed to do it.
Yeah, it is a big concern because the defender of the faith should be defending the Christian faith. And really that title is a doing title. So it doesn't stand if the action is not being taken, and that action is not being taken by our monarch. I'm a respecter personally of our monarch and the royal family, as they are anointed by God. But it'd be very good for our king to remember which God he was anointed into his kingship by, and that God is Jesus Christ. It is not, as the Bible would describe it, a foreign God. No, it's Jesus Christ. And there is a very distinct separation between the God of Christianity and the God of foreign religions. So it'd be very good for our king, the king of a Christian nation, to remember that and stop glazing on other religions and gods. And that would be a very good thing for the future of our nation.
Bishop Diwa, your open letters have really gone viral around the world, very powerful. And it was this decision by King Charles, confirmed by Buckingham Palace, that prompted your latest missive. Explain why you feel so disappointed today.
I think the king has failed to read the public mood, has failed to listen to what his subjects are saying, has failed to understand that a large percentage of the British people and people around the Commonwealth feel that our Christian culture, our Christian heritage, our Christian identity is being rapidly and acceleratingly eroded deliberately with a view to it being replaced either by secularism or by other religions that are trying to, as we've seen in the digest, trying to force an Islamic state in the United Kingdom. And I think that the king's absence in speaking at this particular time is really an abdication of his duties as defender of the faith. It really broke my heart that, having seen such a viral response to my first open letter to the king, and knowing that Buckingham Palace has received the letter, that our king has just decided this year to break with a tradition that he created. And as much as people keep saying, well, you know, Queen Elizabeth only ever gave one, that isn't true. Queen Elizabeth gave 4 Easter addresses, 1955, 1979, 2012, and 2020. That didn't establish a tradition. Prince Charles, now King Charles, is the one that created this tradition, as Father Carmen rightly pointed out, of Easter messages, and has chosen at a time when the country is immensely divided and immensely weary over what happened with mass prayer gatherings and the Adhan pronounced so boldly in such a dominant way that has direct links to the Muslim Brotherhood and the Islamist prayer book. The fact that His Majesty has decided this Easter now is the best time to stay silent really shows me how completely out of touch our sovereign is with his subjects.
And Father Phil Harris, we saw in the digest there the two different points of view on King Charles. So we have Lauren the Insider saying she suspects he is Muslim. That was repeated by Rudy Giuliani and Piers Morgan, close ally of Donald Trump, describing him as the Muslim monarch. But then Madeline Grant in The Spectator says that's just unfair conspiracy from the online right.
I'm going to throw a third one in, if I may. I am deeply troubled at the state of our nation, full stop right now.
Me too.
I want to just quote the words of the Dan, if I can, and I'll give you my perspective afterwards. Allah is the greatest, Allah is the greatest. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. Now this is and I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. These are words of domination. Now, I'm just wondering, knowing that His Majesty is poorly at the moment, and I'm being kind there, but I just wonder whether His Royal Highness has fallen into an elephant trap. And the elephant trap is this, that the narrative of the government is at all costs we need to portray Muslims as being good people. And so, Royal Highness, we need you to give greetings to the Muslims across the nation, because there's this whole Islamophobia thing going around. And so the king has done that and has given greetings for Ramadan. And Eve, and what that's now done is left him in an atrociously difficult position, because it's left Easter out of the equation. And the reason why I'm suspecting that something untoward has happened, and I do not trust this government in the least, and I do not trust the influence that they actually have. And I had conversations with the previous Archbishop of Canterbury, around the pressure that's brought to bear on the state church. I wouldn't be surprised if the king has been leaned on, because we do have this tradition that he has given a group of Easter message from 2018. And so what was it, 2023, the first Easter message as monarch, and then he's followed that with 23, 24, 25. Now, it does worry me, the fact that the Adan is being prayed in Windsor. It bothers me that it's being prayed in Westminster. It bothers me it's being prayed in the Speaker's private departments, because it is a prayer of domination. And it isn't a prayer of, may we pray for our nation, may we pray for our king. It is purely a prayer of domination, and let no one tell you otherwise. Anybody who's studied Islam actually knows what that is about.
And the thing is, Father Calvin Giles doesn't seem to be understanding the wider context, which is that, for example, we saw there in the digest this British Muslim preacher suggesting that Sharia law is going to be used to humiliate Christians, and as a result, young Brits will see their parents being humiliated and convert to Islam. And I mean, he's talking about using Sharia law to turn Christian churches into effectively homeless, shelters for Muslim men to be able to sleep in if they don't want to go home to their wives, and banning churches being able to ring the bells.
God knows what they're doing. And why wouldn't they? They believe Islam to be true. Why wouldn't they push for their Sharia, their Mohammedan laws, to be the laws of the land? Why wouldn't they push for us all to live by them, for us all to submit to their God, because they believe it to be true? The problem isn't them, the problem is us. First of all, foremost, for letting them in to reach a critical mass where there are now 25 Mohammedans in the Houses of Parliament. But furthermore, our leaders, and not just our leaders politically, but our faith leaders, are succumbing to this idea that Islam needs to be promoted above Christianity. for some reason. It seems to come from an old-fashioned political correctness and or modern wokeism in that the minority needs to be helped, the minority needs to be promoted. Well, in a Christian land, we understand some things to be true and some things to be false. In a Christian land, we understand Jesus Christ to be true and everyone else to be a false god. We should never promote false gods. And I understand some politicians may be secular liberals, some politicians may have other faiths than none, but the king, as the supreme governor of the Church of England and the defender of the Christian faith, should never, ever promote any other faith, or even atheism, because he should see all of those as falsehoods, and therefore leading people to damnation. His job as the supreme governor is not just to lead and govern and rule our country, it's to serve Christ first and foremost. Her Majesty, the late Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II understood that. And a servant leader is to serve Christ and then to serve the people. Because as we learned yesterday on Maundy Thursday, when Pontius Pilate wants to wash his hands when he's asking Christ, "Are you the King of the Jews?" And he says, "I have the authority to save you if you will say so." And Christ says, "You have no authority other than that which my Father has given you." That is the same for every king, every prince of the realm, every governor, every politician. They have no authority that the Lord has not given them. And so our king needs to remember that, who he's serving and who he's ordained by.
On a lighter note, Calvin, just have to say, loving the Mo. Is that an Easter Mo? Or is this here to stay?
Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Like it a lot. Breaking today, the propaganda continues with Reform UK revealing that it's not enough that they effectively have Talk TV and GB News operating as their full-time broadcasters. They are now going to be launching their own podcast in an attempt to bypass journalists. Episodes which released every week starting tomorrow will provide exclusive interviews with Nigel Farage and key party figures. I've been thinking about who might Reform UK get to host their propaganda podcast. Maybe June Slater, she'd be one good choice, or Stephen Barrett, Alex Armstrong, he'd be very good, wouldn't he? I don't think this is going to work. We don't want a propaganda podcast, to be honest. I don't think this is the answer. But of course, it comes at a time when GB News is starting to say the quiet part out loud, with its deputy political editor, Tom Hardwood, admitting that Rupert Low has been banned from the station.
Yes!
Meaning that Restore Britain is not getting any type of fair coverage. You remember when I was at GB News, Rupert Low used to be one of the most popular guests on the channel. Watch.
Always say it's better to be talked about than not talked about. So the fact he's talking about us means he's worried about the fact that we are winning votes.
I don't think that's true, Gumar. I mean, as you know, Gawain is one of Nigel's loyal attack dogs.
And certainly in Great Yarmouth, I think people generally feel it's damaged and disrupted their local community.
Having been an MEP, I met some of the civil servants who were supposed to be serving us all, and I was pretty underwhelmed by most of them. And I think what we're now seeing, we're seeing the do as I say, not as I do culture.
But since the official launch of Restore Britain as a political party, Rupert Low has not been seen on GB News once. And that is despite the fact that Tom Harwood is now admitting that the polling, which has really changed since the launch of Restore Britain, showing Reform UK down, and even he admits others reaching 5% of the vote, meaning that Restore is right there, yet he still will not interview Rupert Low on the channel. So when he did post this new polling, Rupert Low responded to him, writing, "I'd be very happy to come on your show to discuss Restore Britain, Tom. Let's arrange a date." Two other presenters have said they'll have me on and then gone completely cold when I asked for details. They are now both ignoring me entirely. The ban is pathetic. Tom Harwood then tried to say, "Oh, we can't interview right now. We can't interview right now. Of course we can't, because we're in this purdah mode before the local elections." But Rupert asked a very smart question. So no MPs will be on GB News between now and the election. Tom replied, "There will be, just governed by strict rules of party representation though." through the campaign period. Rupert, so you're saying you're not allowed to have one Restore Britain MP on during the campaign period once, but other MPs are fine? Really? Harwood, I said it was difficult to have a free hand. Rupert, I am very pleased this conversation has been had publicly. People can read it and make their own minds up about whether there is a Farage ban on me appearing live on GB News. And of course there is. Rupert then argued that GB News has actually censored Restore Britain more than the BBC. And even some Reform UK supporters are not happy about this, with political prisoner Lucy Connolly, a regular guest on the channel, posting, "Come on now, Tom, good journalists listen to all parties and hold them all accountable. Why should Restore be any different? GB News is a news channel. Viewers want to hear from all sides." There is some dissent among the ranks of GB News, however, and I found this very notable. Will Kingston, who's one of the hosts of the channel's Saturday 5 panel discussion show, posted after that back and forth between Tom Harwood and Rupert Low, Restore is obviously now a player in the political landscape. Anyone who ignores this is unserious or partisan. The five-party system is dead, almost on arrival. Welcome to six-party politics. And Rupert replied, the first serious journalist to acknowledge the obvious truth about Restore's growth, respect for that will. To my superstar panel, Minister Ricky Julian, Bishop Karen H.D.Wa, Father Phil Harris and Father Calvin Robinson. So, Father Calvin, we know how GB News operates. I actually was seated at a table at the Margaret Thatcher Freedom Festival over dinner next to Tom Harwood the other night, and I just said to him, why on earth will you not have Rupert Low on? This is nuts. And there were a million excuses. Oh, I don't control who's on the show. And now the latest excuses, oh, it's because of the election period. That is rubbish. That is rubbish. It's because of Farage. It's because of the fact that he wants to turn GB News into a Reform UK propaganda channel. But clearly he doesn't think GB News is doing enough because now he's launching his own podcast.
Hilarious, isn't it? Let's not forget that Nigel Farage is one of the main shareholders of GB News, so he has a vested interest. It is pretty much the Reform Party broadcast network at this point. It's fascinating to me that they'll never be transparent about this because they pretend to be the free speech platform, or the home of free speech, as they call themselves, ironically.
Because I like GB News.
You know firsthand there is a blacklist. There is a list that the producers will not allow people on. I had permission from the CEO himself to get Katie Hopkins on, and my producers blackballed her and would not let it happen. I could not get Tommy Robinson on. I couldn't get Carl Benjamin on, for goodness sake. They just would not allow it. And so for them to pretend that everyone's welcome is a lie. But Rupert Low should be on especially now because he's gaining such momentum. His party has grown in a matter of weeks to be bigger than the Conservative Party, which is the oldest political.
Reverend Father Phil Harris, just we've lost Calvin briefly there, so I'll get you to come in. But the point is, Restore Britain, Phil, is surging. We cannot deny that it is not a serious part of our current political landscape, as Will Kingston admitted.
Absolutely, and I think Lucy Connolly made a really fair point. I think that was quite an impartial comment to actually make that Lucy made. It's really concerning me that, we've said it time and time again, it doesn't matter what your politics are. If we are truly for free speech, then there should be free speech. And therefore, anybody who is in the fight, so to speak, should be given time to actually air their views and be given time to be scrutinised. And I think that's the bit for me that is not happening. People are not in a live environment actually having the opportunity to scrutinise Rupert. And that actually doesn't do anybody any favours whatsoever. And so it is concerning, and I know that you, Father Calvin, Dan, have absolute history. You made a valid point about Nigel being a shareholder, but that does not help the situation. It does not help British politics. It doesn't help integrity. And the thing that I keep punching the whole time is righteousness. The kingdom of God is righteousness, peace, and join the Holy Spirit.
Yeah,
and we
and
have
join
to
Rupert
act
Low.
righteously. And therefore,
Rupert
everybody
Low
should
is
be
the-
given
is
a
Jesus,
voice. And lots of people have made their mind up about Rupert or not. But let's have the opportunity to question Rupert, and let's have the opportunity for journalists and presenters to ask difficult questions, and people can see that for themselves. We can't be afraid of opposition or people that don't speak our language unless we're prepared to have a conversation with them. And we must be prepared to have conversations.
100%, because Ricky Doolan, let's look at Unite the Kingdom, for example, an event that you are a big part of, right? And GB News sent a reporter, Reform UK shill Alex Armstrong, to Unite the Kingdom, but what they didn't do was show any of what went on stage. So they didn't show you speaking on stage. They didn't even show Tommy Robinson interviewing Elon Musk on stage. So how can you argue that GB News is anything other than controlled containment?
And that's what I'm
Well,
saying.
the United Kingdom is one of the biggest cultural moments in our lifetime in Britain. So to ignore that shows a clear bias, and also to ignore such a key cultural political figure like Tommy Robinson also shows the bias. Now, the reason why we are so disappointed with